Before we interpret, we ask whether the Ark of YHWH has come into the camp of this draw. The companion verse, Exodus chapter 18, verse 1, names Jethro as the priest of Midian. A priest has come to the camp. The word of covenant has arrived. And with that priest comes restoration. The woman and her 2 sons return to Moses. But we hold the caution. The camp that understood the ark had come in still fell that day. Recognition of presence is never presumption of direction. We open the mouth wide to be filled. The draw contains a direct hit on Edom. Psalm 60, verse 9 asks, "Who will bring me into the strong city? Who will lead me into Edom?" This is David asking for access to the fortified enemy. And Psalm 83, verse 17 pronounces, "Let them be confounded and troubled unto the end. Yes, let them be put to shame and perish." Psalm 83 names Edom among the nations conspiring to wipe out Israel. This day, Iranian drones and missiles have been intercepted near Aqaba in southern Jordan, the territory of ancient Edom. The missiles falling near its borders are the latest echo of that ancient confederacy. Then the Elam thread. Jeremiah chapter 49, verse 31 is drawn, standing in the very chapter containing the oracle against Elam. "Arise, get yourself up to the wealthy nation, that lives without care, declares YHWH, which have neither gates nor bars that live alone." That chapter prophesies the breaking of the bow of Elam, the chief of their might. It speaks of YHWH setting his throne in Elam, yet also of restoring the fortunes of Elam in days to come. Could the wealthy nation that lives without care be Iran, wealthy in oil, now under siege? This day the United States and Iran are in active conflict. American strikes have targeted Iranian command centers, drone storage, and maritime capabilities. The strikes have paused, but the naval blockade remains, and the Strait of Hormuz remains contested. Iran rejected a ceasefire on July 23, believing it holds the upper hand. Israel sits on high alert but has not yet entered the campaign. The bow of Elam is under assault. The war thread runs with specificity. 1 Chronicles chapter 5, verse 18 names warriors able to bear buckler and sword, and to shoot with bow, and skillful in war. Numbers chapter 23, verse 24 says, "A people like a lioness will rise up, rampant like a lion he will not couch until he eats the prey, and drinks the blood of the fatally wounded." Jeremiah chapter 4, verse 10 cries, "The sword reaches to their lives." Isaiah chapter 37, verse 26 declares that YHWH himself has brought it in, to make desolate, ruinous heaps of those fenced cities. Luke chapter 3, verse 9 says the axe is laid to the root of the trees, and every tree that does not produce good fruit is cut down and cast into the fire. Zechariah chapter 11, verse 6 announces, "I will no more pity the inhabitants of the land." 1 Chronicles 5, verse 18 names the bow as a weapon of war. The oracle against Elam says YHWH will break the bow of Elam. The bow is drawn, and the bow is being broken in the same prophetic word. Then the appointed season. This day language runs through the draw. 2 Samuel chapter 19, verse 35 says, "I am this day 80 years old, and can I discern between good and bad?" Jeremiah chapter 44, verse 23 says, "Therefore this bad has happened to you, as it is this day." The people burnt priestly incense to other Elohim and violated covenant, and the verdict is that bad has come upon them as it is this day. The companion verse, Jeremiah chapter 44, verses 15 and 16, shows the defiant response. "As for the word that you have spoken to us in the covenant name of YHWH, we will not listen to you." Joshua chapter 24, verse 15 says, "Choose you this day who you will serve." The appointed season has arrived. The priesthood thread. 1 Kings chapter 6, verse 13 carries the promise, "I will live among the children of Israel, and will not forsake my people Israel." 2 Chronicles chapter 7, verse 21 warns that this house will be an astonishment, so that passers-by will say, "Why has YHWH done so to this land and to this temple?" Jeremiah chapter 32, verses 16 and 17 record the prayer. YHWH Elohim, you have fashioned the cosmos and the earth by your great power and stretched out arm, and there is nothing too hard for you. Yet the house can become an astonishment when the covenant is broken. It is whether the priesthood is faithful. Against the judgment runs a counter-current of preservation. Enoch chapter 100, verse 6 says, "He will appoint guardians from amongst the holy angels to guard them as the apple of an eye, until he makes an end of all covenant wickedness and all covenant violation. And though the righteous sleep a long sleep, they have naught to fear." Hosea chapter 12, verse 13 says, "By a prophet YHWH brought Israel out of Egypt, and by a prophet was he preserved." 2 Samuel chapter 7, verse 1 says YHWH had given him rest all around from all his enemies. The mathematical layer confirms what the text proclaims. The deterministic verdict is yes, affirmative. The probability of yes is 100%. The probability of no is 0%. The claim is classified as a strong anomaly. All gates pass. The Dominion triad fires at 1038.8% above baseline, at 6.61 sigma, discovery level intensity. The polarity balance index is positive 3.311, affirmative, with a probability less than 0.01. The guidance detection indicator registers as an extreme anomaly. The convergence confidence index stands at 97%, threshold crossed, with all 6 channels active. So what is the Father saying? The Ark has come into the camp. A priest arrives. The temple promise sounds. Edom is named. Elam's chapter is present. The conflict between the United States and Iran, the strikes, the blockade, the pause that holds this day, sits within the frame of this prophecy. War is named. The bow is drawn, and the bow is being broken. Fenced cities become ruinous heaps. The axe is laid to the root. Yet the polarity is affirmative. The covenant faithful are not abandoned. I will not forsake my people Israel. Guardians are appointed from amongst the holy angels. By a prophet was he preserved. The fortunes of Elam will be restored in days to come. The verdict is yes, affirmative, at strong anomaly level, with 6.61 sigma Dominion triad convergence and 97% convergence confidence. The Father is confirming that the prophetic word concerning Persia, Elam, and Edom is active and accelerating for this day. The appointed season has come. The bow of Elam is under assault. The confederacy of Psalm 83 is in motion. Yet the restoration of Elam in the latter days remains spoken, and the covenant faithful are not abandoned. Choose you this day who you will serve. The question is not only what the nations are doing. It is whom the covenant people will trust when the sword reaches to their lives. The Father calls for covenant faithfulness in the day of war. For he has spoken. I will live among the children of Israel, and will not forsake my people Israel. This is offered as facilitation of encounter with the Word, not as the final voice. Open wide, and let him fill it. The verses drawn in this Shield 17.14 session were Exodus chapter 18, verse 6. Ecclesiastes chapter 5, verse 19. Enoch chapter 10, verse 16. 1 Chronicles chapter 27, verse 18. Mark chapter 3, verse 23. Ezra chapter 6, verse 11. This concludes today's interpretation under the Shield